Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Rob Chafe, Medical Information.
Rob's actually here. He's back.
He's back in the saddle.
Yes, he's.
Hello.
But it looks like he actually has more amps at his shop. I was there the other day, and
It's nuts.
it was remarkable. Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death that you are listening to our show. We have a really good one. We have some of the biggest brains and brightest minds and handsomest gents in the business on the other line. Guys, who are you?
We are Meris, Terry and Angelo.
Terry Burton and Angelo
sure?
Mazzocco. Yes.
Good.
Completely sure.
Yeah, excellent. Meris is here with us tonight. We're really excited about this. They have some amazing pedals that they've sent us to get familiar with. We're going to be talking about those and just getting to know these guys a little bit more, getting to know what Meris is about, and trying to make a connection between the builders and the gear for all of you listeners out there.
Sounds amazing. We're happy to be here.
Perfect. So, Tony, did you have anything to announce or anything like that?
No, but I do have something in my guitar world this week.
Oh, well, that's good. We're going to get to that.
Yes, I knew.
Rob?
I knew it.
No,
Nothing.
nothing.
Okay, that's okay.
Thanks for asking.
We're just gonna go.
All right,
We
let's
don't
go.
have any major announcements. So we're just gonna go.
No.
Let's find out.
All is well now that Paul has his bass back.
Yes. Yeah, I had my fun with that last week. Why don't we get into what's going on in our music world this week? We're going to
Yes.
start out with Tanya Bolonsky,
Yes.
the Polish princess of Youngstown. Go ahead. And then we'll check in with Terry and Angelo.
No, you're neglecting my kielbasa eating contest winning.
Well,
For 5
you can
years.
only gloat so much about that.
Okay. All right. Well, this week I happened to catch a couple of posts on Instagram from our good friend Liam Martin at Bilgola Guitars.
Ah, yes.
Bilgola Guitars, you might remember.
He's doing some fun stuff.
Well, here I just wanted to point out, and I think anybody that's listening should head over and check out some of the stuff that he's doing. And this one really struck me as cool because he was building a Paul Bigsby style guitar, and he needed what we call a Shorty Bigsby. And a lot of people
Is that your nickname?
Yeah, Shorty
Okay.
Bigsby, as opposed to Long Tall Bigsby.
Yeah.
And one of the things on a guitar like this, and sometimes even on Telecasters, is a lot of players like to use the Shorty Bigsby, which is just really it's a shortened version of like a B5 or anything like that. And in fact, what a lot of people do is they take this.
Are you just talking about the arm is shorter or the whole thing is shorter?
The base that connects
Okay.
where the arm is connected to is
Yes.
shorter than like a standard B5 or a
Got it.
B7. And Bigsby actually still makes a version for Telecasters that is this. It's way over the top. It's got this piece plus a part that goes over and covers what would be the bridge area on a Telecaster.
Yeah.
And then you have to use like a Jaguar or Mustang bridge with it.
Right.
So what a lot of players do is they take that piece, which is stupid expensive, chop off the parts that would cover up, the bridge area
Yeah.
and things, and they just use this short piece. Well, Liam decided that he was going to take that a step further for this particular project and actually CNC the short tailpiece out of a block of aluminum.
Yeah.
And instead of it saying Bigsby, it says Bilgola.
Yeah.
And I mean, there must be a half dozen or more posts of him in various stages
It's been
of
a
it.
process.
It is absolutely beautiful. He did a fantastic job, and that's like going the extra 500 miles.
Yeah.
Beyond just taking something, converting it, chopping it up. I mean, he
That's
would
really cool.
He would have saved a lot of money by just buying a Bigsby Telly
Well,
B16.
maybe not if he's really good at CNC.
Well, I mean, but it looks great, and so I'm just going to give him a tip of the old chapeau.
Yes, excellent. I like that. Let's start with Terry over at Meris. What's going on in your music world this week?
Oh, well, let's see. I always like to have kind of a little, it's fun to have a little project going to keep you motivated or keep you excited about music stuff. So I got the silly idea that I've been throwing back and forth with Angelo for a couple months now to build like a 80s kind of super strat from kind of not really from scratch, but I want a bunch of weird combinations of things. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Nice.
I have a silly idea of a reverse strat headstock, 70s style.
Oh, cool.
And then kind of like a relic body with some goofy pickup combinations. And I'm still debating whether I want to go all the way and do Floyd Rose and all that silly stuff or not.
Whoa.
What pickups are you considering?
Oh, you guys are going to laugh at me. It's going to be dorky. It's going to be like a DiMarzio Fast Track 2.
Okay.
And then something in the neck that I'm not sure yet. Maybe something hum canceling, like another DiMarzio Area 51.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean,
I've got a bunch of guitars with Seymour Duncan stuff already. So it's like I want to do some DiMarzio stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I do a lot of projects, pickguard projects for people that, like, in some cases they want to do like the Jake E. Lee style that has, a humbucker and then two reverse slanted.
Exactly. I want reverse slanted.
Yeah.
I need your help.
Oh, okay. Easy peasy.
I want reverse slanted. That's what I want.
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll talk after the podcast and hook up, and we'll just figure out what you need.
Perfect.
Like it. Look at that. Connections happening. Angelo, how about
Worlds
you?
are colliding.
So yeah, I have a B16 Telly and I love it. So it's kind of impressive that this guy went the extra mile to chop that up.
Yeah.
But I actually sought out a Telecaster with a B16 on it just because I love the way it looks. I love the extra. I don't know. It's
lots of metal.
like a Cadillac piece. Yeah, it's enormous.
Is that the one of the demos?
What's great? It is in some of the demos. Yeah,
Okay.
I play that in a couple of the. Yeah, it's a cheap guitar. This guy in San Francisco put it together out of like parts. He has a bike shop, and it's a parts Telecaster. But I sought it out because it had a real B16, which I was super excited about. But yeah, so I've had that a while, and then but I guess like kind of things I'm looking at lately is at NAMM time. I became aware of this guy named Rick Toon. Have you guys heard about this guy? He's a big fan of Ned Steinberger, so Rick Toon guitars. And this guy does really clever stuff. And he has this neat Strat replacement tremolo that inside of it has a camshaft. So all of your notes, all your strings are bending at different rates when you use the tremolo arm. And so your chords stay in tune. So it's kind of something like Ned Steinberger did with the Trans Trem, but this is kind of all built into a regular drop-in Strat replacement tremolo. And he's got a bunch machined up, but he's at NAMM time was looking for someone to manufacture them. He doesn't have manufacturing sorted out. But anyways, I thought that was a really kind of clever thing to have the entire kind of transposing tremolo built into a Strat bridge. So I've been kind of fascinated with that. Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah, it's
Somebody's
pretty
got
cool guy.
a lot of time to think about that.
Yeah, that hurt my head.
Holy moly. Rob, how about yourself?
Music week. Sorry, I'm not prepared. Well, I think I settled on a preamp boost pedal for that I've been going round and round with different clones. Not a clon, like not a clon pedal, but it's not a clon. And I've landed on the JHS Haunting Mids. Yeah, kind of completely sidestepped.
You got me kind of turned on. I wanted to check it out too.
Yeah, I just got it kind of on a whim, and I was like, well, let's just see, because I've tried just about every other pedal I can think of, and so far it's 2 gigs, and it's working great. So exactly what I wanted, just a nice buffer, and I can just dial in. For those not familiar, it's literally a volume, a mid, cut or boost, and then a frequency select, like a
Sweep.
Yeah, there you go. So you just pick which frequency you want to boost just a touch or cut just a touch, and how much level boost to push the front end, and
Yeah.
So they don't bill that as like a Klon.
No, not at all.
So it's just it's more like a parametric EQ.
It is
It's
single,
not a Klon.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not a Klon. That's not a Klon.
Okay.
It is. It's just that haunting. It's just a single frequency booster cut, and yeah, that's it. Like one band EQ. Yes.
Okay.
So, but
Yeah.
it's something else.
But you said it's mid, so I thought it has a mid sweep. So
it does.
Okay, so it's just the mids.
Just the mids. I don't know exactly.
Not a single band.
That would be a one band.
How?
EQ.
Oh, all right. I got you.
How haunted are they?
It depends on how haunted you want them to be. It's got a knob for that. But at first I thought it was kind of a joke pedal.
Yeah.
And then I plugged it in and went, oh,
Yeah.
I get it.
That's what it does.
How about that? It's actually
Well, that's
really
their
useful.
next pedal. It's called Not a Joke.
Not a joke, yeah.
So
Now, are you using single coil pickups primarily or humbuckers?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Both and everything in between. Actual single coils, stacked single coils. What's the parallel single coil? So it's hum canceling, but they're paralleled, like a humbucker and parallel single, I guess what the wiring would be. Did you follow that?
Yeah. Yeah.
no.
Well, you rather than put the if you take a humbucker and you wire the
You
coils-
wire. Okay. In series versus parallel.
right.
Okay.
And just not just kill a coil, but
You
Yeah.
reduce it by half.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a speaker. Series and parallel wiring.
No math, guys.
Sorry.
There's-
Sorry.
This is a no math
50%.
zone.
Let's start using percentages
Yes.
and
Yeah.
really get Todd going.
That's a terribly exciting story, Rob.
Yeah.
How about
Thanks, Todd.
How about me?
Nah.
No, we'll just skip
no.
right over that.
No, let's go to Meris now.
For my week, I called Billy, who Billy was a former sometime co-host.
Yes.
And great friend of ours. And I said, hey, remember that telly that I brought in? I brought in a 97 made in Mexico telly, a Squire telly that is Tide Pool Blue, and it's a great telly. And he said, let me see that. And it was in his hands for like 30 seconds. He goes, dude, sell this to me right now. And I said, not yet. I think I have an idea what I want to do for this. Well, the idea is that I'm going to sell it to him.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to fund another guitar project, and I've got a couple. I don't need another telly right now, so.
Do you have a home equity line?
Yes. Anyhow, so
Your wife will never know.
I know. Well, that's the whole thing. You guys, everybody knows. You know how you got to do that. You got to keep it circulating. Yeah, it's always fun to do that, and it's going into like I know he loves this thing. Like right out of the gate, he fell in love with it. So
That's good.
I don't have to hawk it, on Craigslist or something like that.
That's nice. That's worth it right there.
For sure. Anyways,
You know what goes good with Craigslist?
No, Tony.
Alcohol.
Tour gear design patch cables.
Oh my gosh, that's right. If you have a Craigslist, the best way to connect your Craigslist or your pedals even is through Tour Gear Designs patch cables.
That's right.
All the different sizes.
And they're flat.
And
Like
they
a
have
crepe.
Such a low profile jack. It's crazy.
It's minuscule.
It is. And if you go to tourgeardesigns.com and load up your cart, because you're gonna say, wait, I need all of these sizes, you're gonna get 15% off.
An extra
15%.
But what do you have to put in?
You have to put in the guitar knobs in the coupon area.
Yes, coupon code.
Yes,
if
you will be happy, and your pedal board will love you. And we want to say thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Tony?
Let me get a little bit of this.
You're supposed to back away from the mic when you do that.
Well, I
My
did.
God. 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. All right. Angelo and Terry from Meris. Why don't you tell us your 4 on the floor?
Yes. So the 4 on the floor that I've had for a long time, and they're literally on the floor of my studio. I feel like with pedals, mating them to an amp is kind of the most critical thing. I play Fender Deluxe, and I play it not on the treble channel. I play it on the rhythm channel. And so giving some kind of dimension to that is kind of what I'm after. The first pedal that is on the floor is a compressor. So I have an old Keeley 4-knob compressor. And I'm not using that as a clean boost. I'm using it to set, it's almost like a limiter. I'll use it to set the gain going into the drive pedals. And the reason I like that is it kind of takes kind of the swing, I don't know, of the drive pedal. You can kind of focus it in on just like the sweet spot of the distortion curve. So right where the clipping is cut, coming in, I'll use the compressor to just focus the sound on that. I'm kind of using it as a limiter. So number 2 is the Way Huge Fat Sandwich. So Terry and I were lucky to work with George Trips at Line 6. And this is one of George Tripps's creations, the Fat Sandwich. And it's, I have 2 and one sounds way better than the other, but they're very complicated. It's a Red Llama and a Tube Screamer in series in one pedal. And what's really nice about it is it just works really well with the Keeley compressor. Those 2 are on together. But it's kind of making your Fender kind of a Marshall-y when you want to. It's a really great liquid lead sound, and it has internal pots, so I have everything set. I never change the knobs on it. And I either get a rhythm or a lead tone by punching in the Keeley compressor on or off. And so that's
there you go.
how I kind of moderate the sound. Yeah. But it's not one of his better known pedals. I don't think a lot he
said that, I was like, question mark head in my brain.
Yeah, most people do. It's he made a gold one and a black one, and it's the Fat Sandwich, and it sounds really great with the deluxe. But I've brought it into the office, and I've had mixed results with other amps where it just doesn't, work as well. But for some reason, that combo is just, kind of, and I've been using that together for maybe 10 years. It's just a real kind of a mainstay. So that's number 2.
Okay.
And right after that, so it's never on at the same time as the Fat Sandwich. I have the classic 108, the BC 108 Fuzz MXR. Mm-hmm. It's just a great compact fuzz face in pedal board form factor. It's not the big round fuzz face that is impossible to build a pedal board around.
Yeah.
And but it's really an interesting kind of match. So I get a whole bunch of tones, all the pedals off, just compressor on, it's clean boost, Fat Sandwich on with nothing else on, rhythm. I can boost in the Keeley lead tone, and then it's the fuzz face, so that kind of lives on its own. And it's a pretty consistent one. I know I have maybe 6 or 7 different fuzz faces, and they all feel different. But this is a good one.
Isn't that weird? And they all are completely for having 2 components. Well, maybe a little bit more, but it's crazy.
No, it's close to that. Yeah, they're just wide open. They're just reacting to whatever pickups you're using. No buffering. It's just like a direct connection to the output of your guitar. So it kind of everything matters. Your volume, your tone, everything matters to a fuzz face.
Well, speaking of the volume, one of the things that I've run into, I recently picked up for the very same purpose that we're talking about, just for compare and contrast against some of the other ones I have. I got the full tone blue, which is this one, the classic 108, and the volume on it was like I had it pegged, and it barely was hitting. My brain just blanked out on the.
Couldn't get back up to Unity.
No, Unity. Thank you very much. Couldn't hit Unity gain. I was like, why is this so low? And then I've tried a couple others, and I feel like maybe that's just the pedal, and I'm not totally aware that it just has low volume.
Is there a trim pot inside?
No.
That's funky. Yeah, no, I don't do it with the BC 108 pedal I have. That doesn't.
That's not a problem.
It's not a characteristic of 108s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's funky.
Check that out.
Yeah.
You should reach out to Michael Fuller.
Yeah.
I hear he's a great guy to deal with.
He's back.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorta.
He's
Sort of back.
The comeback king. Okay, so 4. Yes, 4.
So that's 3. So number 4 is so I'm using our pedals a lot, but what I really love are Memory Mans, and kind of a good, easy pedal board friendly Memory Man is the Carbon Copy. And the Carbon Copy has a speed and depth trim pot inside, so I can get the modulation right where I want. And it's just kind of an easy thing. It's another set and forget. Like I never changed the settings on any of these. But that's as far as super compact Memory Man vibes. Like I don't know, the Carbon Copy is really easy to use.
Yep, that's been on the list for actually I think we had just hit like 350 actual. Well, I guess it would have been 350 episodes, but it wasn't because it was way earlier. No, we had 350 pedals at that point in time spread across. So it was early on in like our early hundreds, I think.
Yeah.
And I was cataloging everything, and I did a blog, and it took so much work. And then we said, oh, let's break this down and see what the most popular pedal is and what the most, of each category of pedal. I apparently had a little extra time
Had a lot
too.
of time.
Yeah. And I came up with this really killer tremolo system for my for the Strat, and no.
Amazing.
Yeah, but that's been on loads of times because it's a great pedal, and so but it's always fun.
Super trustworthy. Another George Tripp's fueled creation. He after Line 6, he went to Dunlop, where Dunlop makes all the way huge pedals, but he also was the designer, product designer on that pedal. The Carbon.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Look at what we learned. I love it.
Yeah, no, George. Yeah, he runs Way Huge and he designs all his Way Huge pedals, but he's also a critical product designer at MXR. So he kind of, guides things along in a lot of the products that, sometimes you don't know, but he works on a ton of stuff over there.
That's cool. That's super cool. You mentioned the Memory Man. We at one point in time we'd connected with. And forgive me, I forget the guy's name, but we connected with the gentleman that basically laid out the Memory Man, the Electric Mistress, is
that Huey? Is it? Oh man, is it Mick? His name?
He literally sounded like Mick from Rocky. Like it was.
I think his name is Howie McDavis. I don't know.
It was very
I'm
something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like Colin. He's like Colin from Brooklyn, and it didn't work. He couldn't figure out how to get the stuff, and he was like, "We're trying to get this stuff working." I was like, "No, this is not going to go well."
Just try him again. A couple years later.
Yeah. I went out and bought a Bluetooth microphone.
Right, exactly. Got a new computer.
Yeah, computers. I don't know. Anyways, Terry, let's check in with you. What's your 4 on the floor?
I really want to hear that episode that you were just talking about.
Well, we couldn't do it. That's the whole thing. You couldn't get it to work.
We had lots of technical difficulties.
It was rough. Yeah.
You got to redo it.
I got to try. Maybe I could just fake it.
Lawsuit.
Yeah.
So
big time.
let's see. Well, my rig right now that I'm using with the band is I have a band that nobody knows about, but
What's your band name?
The band is called the June Echo. We never play shows, but we do have some recordings out there.
Now, 3 people know about your band.
All right, awesome. That's perfect. That's perfect for us. But I'm always playing through my favorite kind of Marshall head right now is like a JCM 800
Nice.
kit that I built. So my pedal rig right now is just 2 pedals. And I know I'm not supposed to use our pedal, but I have to just for a second because it's an LVX and then a Chase Bliss preamp Mark II, and those 2 work really well together. But I'll replace the delay later. So number 1 will be Chase Bliss preamp Mark II, which is awesome, really versatile, and just looks super cool when you change presets too because the sliders move around.
No, I'm not familiar with that. Is that like a 3-band EQ preamp or?
I'll pull it.
So
up.
that's like him and Chris Benson worked on this. It's like a drive. It's like a drive and EQ in one. But it's just it does like drive and fuzz. I mostly use the drive part of it. It got some diode selections on there and stuff, but it sounds
you
great.
never
It sounds
saw that?
fantastic.
It was like
it's
impossible not to see for like
it's
6 months.
It's got automated faders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing a
Yeah.
drop and they were making the faders bounce, and I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we ended up working with, so Joel's a friend of ours. We ended up working on a reverb version with that on that platform too, with the moving faders. So that one's fun. But okay, so number 1 pedal, Preamp Mark II. Number 2 pedal, I have been on a chorus hunt for a long time. Angelo knows this, but I settled pretty recently in the last few years on the small clone. I love that one for chorus. And not a lot of people use it. I see threads all the time about like, what's best chorus pedal? What's best chorus pedal? People mentioning Boss all the time. And I think those are good. And I have a lot of those. But man, the small clone is great sounding. I love that one. For modulation, I kind of go back and forth between that and the ADA flanger, but small clone right now.
Yeah. You know what? I actually really love that you have an LVX and a small clone like hanging out together. That's pretty cool.
Two extremes.
That is really cool.
And then let's see, number 3. Empress Heavy. If I need like metal sounds, this is another one. I don't see a lot of people using that one, but it's really, really good for metal sounds. Kind of more sophisticated sounding than a metal zone, but really aggressive like that.
It's got a lot of knobs.
Yeah, I'll say.
It does. And they have a smaller version of it now, but I don't have that one. Steve's another buddy of ours.
10 knobs,
we just had
switches, and 4 toggles.
Yeah.
It's smaller than it seems. It's not that big in person. But we just had Korean food with Steve. That was awesome. And last month.
Delicious.
In LA. And then the last one I'm actually not using this delay right now, but I did for years. Line 6 Echo Park.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So, which Angelo actually wrote all the algorithms in that too. I think that personally, I think it sounds better than the DL4, so I like it better. But DL4 is way more popular. But I used that for years and years and years until even during the Strymon days when I was at Strymon, I still use the Echo Park a lot. But obviously, I had some timeline and stuff on my board. But now that we have LVX and Polymoon, I use those all the time.
Those things are built like tanks.
Yeah, they weigh as much as a tank too.
They're literally heavy.
Depending on which ones you get, the original ones were zinc and were cast in a like a Matchbox, like the toy Matchbox cars. That factory, they were cast alongside the cars.
Kidding.
Oh, that's
And yeah, and so they were a Boss pedal will weigh 1 pound. The original like first 5 months of the tone cores weighed 2 pounds, twice as much as a Boss pedal.
Wow.
Yeah, they were. If you had a pedal board full of tone core pedals, it was a heavy pedal board. But then they switched. They switched after the 5th month to aluminum and lost a whole pound.
Oh, it looks like
Mine was heavy. I had a heavy one.
if RoboCop had to have a deodorant.
if they were cast in England, they would be made of aluminium.
Yes. Sadly.
Yeah, I don't think I wasn't the biggest fan of the industrial design, but the pedal sounded awesome. I actually took all the guts out of mine and put it in a different box, rehoused it.
Huh.
Like a fuzz face?
Mostly not for the looks. Just I wanted to add true bypass. So
That's cool. Neato. Well, you guys are the ones to be doing that stuff. Thank you for your 8 on the floor. That was really cool. That was surprising, I think. I'm surprised by some of the things you had. And we got some new stuff. We always love getting new stuff, learning about new pedals and why people like it. And
the other thing is you should do four in the rack.
4 in the rack.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys talk to anyone who uses rack processors, but I have a whole bunch. So I could have different
we don't
answers.
run into that all that much. I gotta be
No,
honest.
nobody. No.
Yeah.
If only we were doing the podcast in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1988.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although the owner of the studio that we're in, when I said, "Hey, we're doing Meris," he's like, "Oh, dude, the preamp. He was like freaking out that we were talking to you guys about.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I need to get all of this stuff." He wanted me to ask if you're going to make a compressor.
Oh, I'd love to make a compressor, but we just never got around to it. I think both of us love compressors.
LVX and Mercury X have compressors built.
Ah,
Yes.
correction.
So they
But
have
not
had
with
well,
compressors.
technically,
not in
they
the
made two
500 series
compressors.
format.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll have
The,
to.
Yeah, not in the pro audio land. We haven't made it.
Yeah.
And Enzo also has a compressor. We also have a compressor in Enzo.
I'll tell him to
In
get those
dry mode,
compressors.
Enzo has well, it's not for him. He wants the 500 series stuff.
Yes,
So
yes.
the answer to that question is that's not on the horizon. But
Yes.
we have lots of compressors.
Yes, indeed. Well, he was extremely impressed, and he's shopping those ones around. So I
That's
will let
cool.
him know.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
that's
great
awesome.
to hear.
All right. Well, much awaited. We are going to talk to you guys about some cool stuff. When I contacted these guys and said, we want to share who they are and connect people. That's what we do on the show, with the products that people are interested in and or already love, with the people that are making them. And I thought, I know that you guys have done several interviews and loads of stuff is out there. So I don't want to spend a ton of time rehashing things that you've probably already answered a million times. And we're going to try as hard as we can not to do that, while still shedding some light on what's going on. But I thought it would be kind of fun. I don't know how often you guys do this, but I would love for Terry, if you could just tell us a bit about Angelo.
Oh, do opposite. All right, cool. I met Angelo at line 6. We both he started a little before me, right around the year 2000. I think Angelo started in 99, but a long time ago now. We were both pretty young. I liked him right away because we both loved this comedy show called Mr. Show.
Oh, yeah.
And so we would talk about that from the 90s. And then, we would talk about music stuff, guitar stuff. He knows like pretty much more about guitar. If I want to talk to him about guitar parts or tremolos or something like that, he knows more than anybody I've ever met. Super nice dude all the time. Brilliant, good taste. Let's see. At line 6, we did not work on a ton of projects together, but we were always just friends hanging out there and talking about stuff. And we did work on a series of little small amplifiers together. That was a fun project at line 6. And where do I go from there?
What's his favorite junk food to eat?
This guy eats healthy. I don't not much junk food. He's Italian, so it's hard to find Italian food that he's happy with. I will say that.
That's fair. That's fair. What's his favorite movie?
Food, I don't think. Oh, that's a good question. I'm totally blanking on it, but I know what it is. He doesn't do favorites a lot.
Okay.
Okay. Kind of shies away from favorites, maybe. But if it's Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Ow! Love it.
That's great. That's great. Let's see, Angelo, your turn. Tell us about Terry.
Well, yeah, like Terry said, we met at line 6 right away. Yeah, we connected on humor, and Terry is always, he's super sharp, brilliant, and funny, and so it was an easy connection. It was always fun to pop in and see what Terry was working on and kind of laugh about stuff and connect on shows, and so we hit it off right away. And I think what's unique about Terry is that when he works on something, there's always a little spin, like a little something like clever and extra. And it's like, oh my God, that's such a good idea. So no matter what he is working on, it's always such an extremely thoughtful design. So, when you're playing through our electronics, you can be sure that he's sweated through all of the analog signal path. And yeah, just always really, 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 really clever and smart and brilliant designs. So, when he approached me about working at Meris and starting something new, I that was really, really good. I was super bummed when he left. I remember the day that he left, and I'm like, I hope we work together again. Because it was just such a good engineer and friend to have at Line 6. He is. I would have to say one other thing that really impresses me is his troubleshooting skills. Mm. And I get excited if there's a problem and we're trying to figure it out. It's really fun to work on problems with Terry because he'll have like another viewpoint. It's like, I didn't think of that. It's so good. And no matter what it is, it's fun. He's an excellent problem solver and troubleshooting. Like, so, if it's, something in manufacturing or something in our products or something, I can always count on him to like have thought of something. It's like, it's a perfect match. It's like, okay, I'm thinking of these things and it's just really fun to go through that process together.
That sounds awesome. It sounds like you guys just have a really perfect working scenario.
And what's Terry's favorite movie?
Well, hang on. That's too easy. That's too easy, Tony. What about where I was going to go with this, if you don't mind, is tell us something that you are surprised that Terry likes music-wise.
That's going to be really hard because I feel like all of us at the office love everything. That's going to be really tough. I mean, Terry likes everything from DC punk to metal. I don't know, everything. I don't think I've ever been surprised. A ton of, very synth heavy music. I mean, just the gamut. It's hard. I haven't been surprised. Philip Glass, just kind of all over. If you
are there any
at
like
the office
really?
with us, you'd hear everything.
Really, Terry? You gonna play that?
Maybe Pearl Jam 10.
Okay, I'm with you on that. That's fair. I know Tony wants to hear his answer too. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not?
No.
What's Terry's favorite movie?
So I want to say Blade Runner, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if that's
close.
The top. That's the top.
That's up there.
Terry loves apocalypse movies. Anything where the shit's going down and humanity's in jeopardy. Terry's like just drawn to that. So
interesting. That actually kind of
that's definitely his genre.
Sounds that come out of some of your stuff.
It is a guilty pleasure.
Yeah. Well,
my favorite movie is Tron.
80s Tron. 80s Tron. Okay.
But Blade Runner is probably like, number 2 or number 3.
Got it.
Up there.
That's one of those movies that I had to watch many times, and I just couldn't get all the way through it. I was like, I don't get this. It's not doing anything for me. And then I said, I'm gonna try it again. It was probably about maybe 2 years ago, and it wasn't until the very last thing that Rutger Hauer says about the rain, and I'm like, oh my God, I get it.
Oh man,
that was the improvised. Whole thing. Yeah, I know, right? That's the best part. It's literally the best
incredible.
part of the whole movie, and he improvised it, and it's honestly, it's like the lights just turned on, and I go, I totally get this now, completely. It was exciting.
I'm waiting until Blade Runner the musical hits.
Right.
Well, there's a TV series coming out, 2099 Blade Runner TV series. I don't know. I'm holding my breath for that. 2049 was good.
Yeah.
And my kids love 2049 better than the original. I think the original just destroys it music wise.
Yeah.
In kind of every dimension, but there is, it's the same thing with everything. There's remakes, and there's, an Alien TV series coming out.
Yeah.
There's a Blade Runner TV series coming out. So I don't know.
Shogun.
I hope
is coming out. Oh my God. I'm like,
Is that Shogun the musical?
yeah, Shogun the musical. Oh boy. Anyways, let's get on to these awesome things that we've got in front of us. You sent us the LVX and the Mercury X, and we were pretty gobsmacked just plugging them in just right out of the gate without fiddling any knobs and just saying, wow, this is impressive stuff. Before we get into the impressive stuff, I want to know, there are so many, I won't say so many, there are a number of very feature-rich, comprehensive, very well-made modulation pedals out there, and you guys have already been part of quite a few of those. When you began the creation of these two in particular, what were some of the considerations that you said, okay, yes, we're going to do this, and what drove the development into where we landed with these?
So we had a really clear idea of what we wanted to do for a few years, and this one took a long time to make. LVX took close to 3 years.
Yeah,
at least, yeah. Because there's just so much stuff in it. But the overarching kind of philosophy of LVX was to get the guitar player or the musician or the synthesist or whatever kind of musician is using it out of the headspace of having preset delay types. Like here's your analog delay, and here's your dotted eighth digital or whatever, and like taking that off of the presets and breaking up all the different components that make up delay sound into their own pieces, and so you can mix and match and make any kind of delay type you want, kind of create your own. So that was really the idea, to open up the flexibility of the kind of taking a delay pedal under a microscope and letting the user mix and match each part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, having it be kind of a toolkit to build your dream delay was something that like Terry said, considered from the beginning, and considered for a long time. Like we're really feel lucky. We've been around for 10 years.
Yes, this is our 10th year.
And so it's stuff that the three of us have been talking about for a long time, and shooting around ideas. Development is a long process, and it's something that is, a personal journey. And, we've thought a lot about every single aspect about, on everything that we've made. It's very kind of, speaks to our personality and kind of to our heart and things that we love and, things that inspire us. The LVX and Mercury X, they to me, part of the concept, at least for joining things together and kind of the capability, they always, in my mind, kind of went hand in hand together. The way that the rack units, the Lexicon 81 and 91 went together. So if you've messed around with those, they're a complementary pair, and that's kind of a little bit of that is how LVX and Mercury X work. They have similar interfaces and control schemes, but they're very complementary.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful parts about these. I think you can recognize right away that when you have these two together, or even by themselves, the user interface, the hardware and the software being both pretty much identical, it makes the experience much easier to wrap your head around, because, and I say wrap your head around because these are not like the normal sounds that you typically are hearing. I think what you mentioned about creating the effect that you want. You said it so much more eloquently than I did, but this really, with that in mind, feels a little bit more like a palette, rather than something you're just going to, scroll through a bunch of, the standard stuff that you're used to, this kind and this kind and this kind and this kind. You really do get to create whatever you want them to be. And that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it comes across like that. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, it's something. So our third partner, Gina, she spent a lot of time sweating on how to make the interface. If she designed kind of the workflow and sweated the details on making that an easy experience that could transfer to multiple different jobs, and so to have that be connected and easy is another consideration that we've had too. Because you don't want something to immediately be a turnoff. Menus and screens, just historically, are terrible. Can be really limiting. You want to play music. You don't want to be designing a circuit diagram or something. You want to play music. So having it be accessible and focused, I think that's another thing that's nice is there's like a focused mode, having things just slowly reveal themselves, and that's been something that we've cared about a lot too, where there's that initial reaction to one of our pedals, and then it kind of over time unveils, and kind of it's designed to be that way, like unwrapping, going through the layers of the onion and discovering more and learning more. That's intentional too.
Yeah, Gina was super instrumental in she kept so Angelo and I, we designed a pretty ambitious kind of under the hood architecture that has a lot of components to it. So Gina kept pushing the UI to make, guys, you got to make, this needs to be easier to use. This needs to be easier to use, so that it's more accessible. So her contribution to the UI was I'm super happy with how it turned out, because we get kind of compliments pretty often that it's like surprisingly easy to use for such a complicated thing.
You talked about like the initial response, and when you plug it in, before you even look at it, it's plugged in. You're like, wow, this is a really killer piece of hardware. Like the chassis, the knob configuration, the way the knobs are react to touch and control is you're like, yep, I'm all in so far. And then you turn it on, and then you see something that is not what you typically expect. And, we talked about a lot of, or at least brought up many of the predecessors or other things that are out there, and the screens, and, click, 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 then turn, then click, click, click back, and turn, and click, click. There's a lot of shuffling because you're working in a very limited space. And what I appreciated about this, it kind of made me feel like, when I was designing websites and stuff, before we hit the responsive website era, and when mobile started to take over, we were very much in a click a menu, go to the next page. Everything was like kind of like sideways, and and everything was page limited. And then all of a sudden everything changed, and now mobile was driving the scrolling action, and that changed the way that we use websites like completely. Yeah. And I was like, this feels like that a little bit, in that you're not doing the, left right shuffle to do things. It's very much more of a fluid experience.
Yeah. A lot of, kind of the natural inclination of a lot of UI design can be almost like a spreadsheet. Like I'm going down the list.
Yeah.
And so that's something we avoided.
Well, that also, when you do something like that, it makes you feel like, well, that's what I have to choose from. But as we just talked about, no, the idea is to land on something and then do what you want with it.
Yeah.
Now, we're just talking about this. We haven't really mentioned the orbiting the bubbles and splines. That is the main interface on this. What exactly was the genesis behind that? I mean, beyond what we've already discussed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, I wish we had Gina on here to elaborate on that conceptually, but it was, it was orbs, and we went around a bunch of different we kicked around a bunch of different ideas. What I'm trying to say, and this is the one that she came up with that we eventually settled on. And it's kind of like as if planets are rotating around a central star or something, and then making that symbolize the different modules that you're editing at the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Really the constellation of tone. But no, it's really about focus. So it's about bringing things into focus one at a time, and allowing you to react to it. And the center, lets you know where you're at. And then the orbiting bubbles kind of let you highlight things one at a time, so that, it's not option overload. You don't see this sea of parameters and then you're like, I don't know where to turn.
Yeah. That can be real daunting. So,
it is.
Because you're limited to a degree. The perception is that you have some limitations, but you really have more than you think, right? Your hands, which is kind of a nice twist.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And things are easy to kind of like favorite and bring to the surface. And, it's really meant to be, an instrument that complements you. And like, kind of from the beginning, it's everything is the approach is it, at least the most joy that I get out of using pedals and guitars is when it all connects. It just feels like one instrument and it just reacts to you. It's a reactive experience. That's super important.
As far as the sound goes, I mean, it's like when it's like, oh, it's a reverb and a delay. Okay. I think you've clearly taken time to pull out all the stops and creating an elevated delay and reverb experience. They just seem to go beyond what we are used to. How much of that was like super intent right up front, or did that just evolve?
I think it's both. I think some of it was super intentional, and a lot of times as we're all working together in the same room, things evolve like naturally. I hear Angelo playing something, it's like, oh, that's cool. And or the other way around, if we're making presets, and it's always been a goal of ours to make a product where somebody plugs into it and then a song comes out because they have that product, and because it becomes an instrument, part of your rig, that you couldn't have done without that, or if it just inspired a certain sound.
Yeah. And to add to that, I would say that it's important for us. I mean, there's so much great stuff out there. There's just like, we love all of it. We love all of the classics. And what we want to have happen is intentional, is with kind of every single step, every, 500 series module, pedal, the new LVX and Mercury X, is having things that didn't exist in this world before. We want to add something to it. It's not about cloning something. It's about what can we bring, the three of us, in kind of like our collective experience, bring new things to the table and just have new stuff for guitar players and keyboard players and everybody to kind of enjoy. So we draw on we're inspired by a lot of classic things, but it's throughout every step we try to bring something new that's uniquely like our voice. So to expand, because again, I love the classics and I'll never replace them. I don't want to just recreate them. I want to have new things available, just to like widen everyone's, palette to make, sounds, make music.
So with that in mind, you've brought a lot of new actual processing elements to the table with these units. Can you tell us about the approach to that and maybe some of the neato things that we may not be noticing that are driving this?
Yeah, there's some, like I said before, the unwrapping like the birthday present, kind of like ripping off the layers of the onion. We try and like so all of those different categories. I would say first off, the best way to get familiarized is just run through all the presets. There's so many great sounds in there, but in the categories, there's different categories. Each category has hidden things that are kind of really fun and surprising. I guess for an example, the one that's coming to mind is not going to seem obvious, but in the preamp section, there's kind of an overdriven preamp, and it's got a really interesting voicing that allows you to do a lot of cool direct tones. So even though LVX is the delay, you can get some really interesting hybrid, overdriven delay sounds that are kind of, and you have the choice of putting that anywhere inside the delay. So there's a lot of really fun stuff to explore. I use LVX a lot, just direct, just guitar, LVX. Even the filters. So the filters are kind of like have complementary things that way too. There's parametric filters and stuff like that allow you to highlight because just a dry guitar tone right off of a pickup is so kind of it's dull. It doesn't have that life that you get from an amplifier. But LVX has the tools, compression, filtering, drive to kind of bring a dry guitar to life, and then use that to build an amazing delay tone around.
Some of the things that, at least in my own professional career, that I've learned is that sometimes it's more important to know what you don't want than what you do. What you don't want can often help you better understand what you do actually want instead of just the world. Did you have any considerations of like, we definitely don't want it to be this, do this, look like this, feel like this?
You stumped him, Todd.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I'm kind of shocked
him.
right now.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think that was like part of our process so much about not wanting it to be like something else, because I think we had a pretty clear idea from the beginning that it already wasn't going to be like anything out there. It was going to be it was definitely going to be its own thing. Nobody had ever done we're pretty well versed on all the music gear that's out there, and like Angelo said, we love it. So it was pretty clear that we were making something that hadn't been done before.
What did that conversation look like when you guys first started? Were you just having a burger and said, "Hey, what if we did this?" Or
well, I remember Terry making a really cool drawing early on.
I think I drew something like in Illustrator, just to kind of expanding on. It had the same basic shape already as the pedals as our smaller pedals, but was going to be a bigger, more feature laden kind of platform.
And it had elements of that build your own sound. Terry was clear early on, okay, it's not just going to have set algorithms. It's going to allow you to connect things together. So that I remember when he showed me that drawing, I'm like, yeah, let's do that. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, a lot of times we're just talking about stuff in the office, and it comes about. We're not big on meetings or yearly planning and stuff like that. We flow more organically, for better or for worse, in the kind of product development process. And actually, going back to the LVX UI, we have a editor that we're going to come out with for Mac and PC pretty soon, probably by the end of the month, hopefully, if we get all the beta testing ready, where it allows you to editor librarian for that project. So that's going to make
kind of clutch. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's going to break out all of the controls and parameters on a desktop screen, so you can see everything at once.
Yeah, I mean that's super helpful if somebody is quite literally saying, "I'm going to build." A house of my own sounds that is substantial. That's a big saver for just efficiency and probably getting to know that all of the little bits and things in there that are available that you might not get just kind of scrolling through it leisurely.
Yeah, you can learn more about the sounds that way for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gina's been working on that for almost all of last year. So it's been a big effort, but we're going to be releasing that. We're going to be releasing that for free soon. So I think everybody's going to like that.
That's awesome. Did you have a specific player in mind as you were developing this?
Us?
Selfishly, I think we do.
Fair play.
I think selfishly, we do everything for ourselves. We both definitely have favorite players. My favorite guitar player of all time is Andy Summers. And I mean, there's lots of others that I love, but he's probably my number one.
Wow.
Yeah, a big one for us. For me is Holdsworth. Like he actually approached everything different. Like he did everything orthogonal to what everyone else was doing. So in his guitar playing, in the way he like thought about lead lines and his sound design, like he had just piles and piles of processors that he would really do novel things with. He made his own speaker load boxes and sold them himself. He custom wound inductors. He was a nut. So he's huge inspiration. So algorithms in the Polymoon are kind of, have shades of that, like multi-rack, 6-rack delays stacked together. And then, so he's someone I have in mind. Yeah. Andy Summers for sure. Another big favorite of mine is Zappa. He had a really odd approach to guitar, but like became super fluid and amazing at it. Like in the later years, like just incredible, like shredding in a very different way, like very, very unique kind of sound and approach to guitar.
I think all three of those players too, used effects in the way that we kind of envisioned our stuff, which was like the songs that they made wouldn't be the same without the effects that they use. Like definitely the Andy Summers, like modulation and delay. Yeah. Those Police songs wouldn't be
Walking on the Moon.
They would sound like they wouldn't sound anything like. So that's kind of the dream.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Of these, you guys have had these out for a little while now, and obviously, the other pedals have been speaking for themselves for a long time, but specifically for these two, what about these have you received the greatest response?
So honestly, greatest response is I think that initially we usually hear I'm kind of embarrassed because I feel like we're really like talking so positively about ourselves.
That's great. Sell it, baby.
Initially we hear like people plug in and then they're like, wow, this thing sounds amazing. So they're kind of surprised. So that's good. But then the next thing we usually hear is, oh, this thing's way easier to use than I thought it would be. So those are both super satisfying things to hear from my perspective.
And?
It's so you got to repeat the question. I kind of got lost.
Yeah, what have you heard as far as feedback goes?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So it's always kind of one of the most fun things is when you have something out there is hearing not just what they're saying to you, but what they create. So hearing someone's YouTube clip and doing something really interesting with it that they, you just really haven't heard before, or that you haven't approached the pedal that way. I mean, I feel that a lot about, the different, artists that we work with and our friends. And it's always a really gratifying thing. It's like, okay, I made this. And then you see what someone else creates with it. It's like, oh, that's amazing. I didn't play that. I never would have thought of doing that with it. So to me, that's the most, I don't know, I feel really, grateful and happy to be part of their musical experience. And I'm always amazed at, kind of what creations, just happen with using our gear.
There's not too many things that I can think of, at least maybe everybody else collectively can, that A, allow you to do that, and B, that you can get that kind of immediate response from, where you're able to put something and say, this is a powerful thing, and in its sole intent is to create. And then letting people just do that, just like infinitely, that's a really awesome thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a humbling thing too. It's like, wow, I got, invited into it. It feels like you're in the room with them a little bit sometimes. Like, wow, that voice of ours, the three of us, is like, wow, I can hear our voice, singing along with them, in their music. So it's a really fun experience.
That's super cool. One last thing, you're on your boxes. You have something I think is also kind of inspirational. It says more than logic, uniting art and engineering. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, we had this. We had this idea from the beginning. All of us came from more kind of corporate company structures. They were all creative, very creative, and we had all awesome mentors that we just think so highly of. But when we did our own thing, we had an idea to do something more based on art and about the art uniting with the engineering side, instead of kind of, I guess instead of engineering being kind of like a vehicle for delivering a product that somebody envisions, it's more about the artistic side of a product and the engineering side of a product coming together to be something more pure, I think, and more real.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of products, or sometimes products can be approached from that way, where it's like, oh, well, what capability do we have? We're going to build a product around this technical capability. And you kind of you feel that when you use a product like that, you lose kind of the spark and kind of the joy and the passion of the designers. I think the products that work best encapsulate both those things, art and engineering. It's like, wow, the capability is amazing, but I can really tell something about the people behind this. I can feel the energy, feel kind of their passions, and you feel that. I mean, even in something really complicated, I feel that way about the Eventide H3000. It was made by a super small team of 3 people, and I feel like their fingerprints on it. I can feel what they're into, what they're excited about, and to me, like, that's, it speaks to that merger of, like, it's a creative thing, it's a technical thing, but it's also a creative thing. It's the combination of the two.
I think that was very well spoken. As we round third and start to head home, anything else that you would like to share about the pedals in front of us, or maybe what you're starting to work on next?
I would say we are happy, like just ecstatic to still be able to have our own thing going on 10 years after we started it.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of enough. I mean, all of us are really happy working together and making cool stuff. And like I said, this the new desktop editor that we're going to release is our first ever software. So we're traditionally, Angelo and I are hardware guys, so we always have done hardware products with embedded software inside of them, or firmware, I guess you would more technically call it. But this is our first software, so it's going to be kind of a new adventure in that realm.
Total new adventure, and lots of new things to discover. But another on top of that, so editors coming out and firmware releases for LVX and Mercury X. Mercury X is getting some exciting things. Mercury X has a tremolo that you can use, and right now it's the one that's in there is an opto tremolo, but with the new update, you'll have harmonic tremolo, which is way phasier and kind of like a lumpy, almost univibey thing, and so it'll have that. It'll have a lot more control for stereo, like offset in the tremolo. You can do almost a panning with it. So there'll be a spread control that pushes. You can have it set to 0, and both sides are tremoloing the same way. And that's another thing that is not quite obvious about LVX and Mercury X is nearly everything is dual. Like if you see a compressor, there's 2, one for the left channel, one for the right channel. You turn on the tremolo, it's 2 tremolos, one for the left channel, one for the right channel. So this new parameter in Mercury X for the tremolo spread will allow you to offset and phase the channels, and it gives almost a panning type of effect. Lots of fun new things that are happening in both of those releases. So yeah, plenty of fun things in the near short term.
With this model that you've created, this sort of format, is there a third? Is there like a drive or something that's going to follow suit to fall in that family?
No, there's it's kind of infinite, like the amount of things that we could do with the new platform. So we're super excited about it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really limited by our time.
Yeah.
We have so many exciting things like, oh, we should do this. Oh man, we got to do this. We got to do this one too. Yeah, it's just limited. I mean, there's we're a small team. And actually I'm happy for that too. It allows us to, really have a collaborative kind of like connected experience. And even in manufacturing, we work with someone local here in our same county. Like if something's going on, you can hop right on, and look and be hands-on with the creation of everything, the production, everything. So
I think that's something important to remember. You said small team, which is, when we had Eventide on, as consumers, we're like, oh man, their factory must be amazing. And it's like, no, it's just like a couple of guys in New Jersey,
totally.
And you're a couple of people in California, and hats off to making something feel like it's made by, somebody as big as like
NASA.
Apple or something, or NASA. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. No, that's a frustrating thing because you'll get an impression like, oh man, there's like 200 of them. Like I'm not, but here's the real deal. If you call our phone line, one of us will pick up and talk to you. You'll talk to the designers. I mean, what company is like that? But
Press 1 to talk to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, can you imagine that? Like, can you imagine like I have a problem with my iPhone, I can't figure it out. Well, guess what?
I did Steve.
Yeah, it would be like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask a tough question. This is kind of like picking your favorite kid. But each of you, which is your favorite pedal in the line? Terry.
Ooh, my favorite pedal
Sophie's
right now.
choice.
My favorite right now is Mercury X, because even though I don't use that one on my pedal board, dang it. But, it's
5 on the floor.
To me, it's the most. To me, right now, it's the most inspiring one for new ideas that I haven't thought of. I just like plug it, like make a patch. A lot of times, what I do, which I don't know if this is silly or not, but I think of the patch name first, and then I try to make the patch based on what that name is. But a lot of the factory presets that Angelo made, I can just play something and oh wow, that's cool. And so Mercury X right now.
Cool. Okay, Angelo.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. It kind of switches a lot. I mean, I feel Enzo is always close to my heart because it bridges the world of synth and guitar. But right now, in the moment, I'm using LVX the most. And I've been using it lately to recreate all of the sounds from Eric Johnson's YouTube. So he's got this thing. So Eric Johnson has these videos, a series of videos from Saucer Studios. And they're the most like remarkable videos because you can see exactly how his sounds are built. And so I've been recreating the sounds from those YouTube clips with LVX. So that's my favorite kid.
That's the first I've heard of that, but that sounds cool. I think we should release those presets.
Nice. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. We're going to do a little thing right now called
Would You Rather?
When Tony doesn't have cheese in his lungs from his bronchitis, he sounds much more velvety. And typically, Tony, you do this, but I'm going to
I will release the reins to...
Set me up, though.
Well, Todd, we're going to hop in the old El Camino out to the West Coast once again.
Yes.
Driving up the Ventura Boulevard.
Yeah.
The highway.
Excellent.
And,
yeah. Well, you find me walking down the street.
You're walking down the beach.
Yes.
You're walking down the beach.
Walking down the beach. And I'm working hard. I've committed myself to making a new pedal. And I can't wrap my head around exactly. I think it can be more than maybe I'm thinking of, and I may be limiting myself. All this is making me thirsty. So I swing into a coffee shop down let's say just down by the beach area, and there's nowhere to sit. These coffee shops are so small there. And so we find ourselves, and find myself in a coffee shop. There's only 2 tables with 2 chairs at each. And at both of these 2 tables, there's already somebody sitting there. So I'm going to have to share a table with one of these people.
Oh, very uncomfortable.
Well, it turns out that...
Lo.
And behold, at table 1, we have Vangelis, creator of the Blade Runner score. Oh, the possibilities. If I could pick his brain, if I could convince him to help me design my new pedal with some of the interstellar sounds that he's capable of. But I'm not convinced yet. And over on the other side of the room, hard at work, with hair falling in his face, like on stage, Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead, and also scoring There Will Be Blood, famous for that. Mm-hmm. He's sketching away on his little pad, his hair flopping in front, and I think, ooh, what if I got him to help me create this new pedal? So, would you rather have your new Incredipedal co-designed by Vangelis, the composer of Blade Runner, or Johnny Greenwood, the composer of There Will Be Blood and Radiohead? Okay, we're going to start off with Tanya Bolonsky, Polish sausage eating queen of the West. And then we're going to try Rob and then check out the guys at Meris. All right, Tanya.
I'm going to go with Vangelis. Because it's all Greek to me.
Oh my gosh. That's so bad.
Yes. But no, actually Chariots of Fire was one of my favorite soundtracks.
Okay.
So I think that in terms of ethereal sounds, I think that would get me there.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Rob?
Just because it's the opposite of what Tony said.
Of course.
Guy from Radiohead.
The guy from Radiohead.
That guy. That
old
guy
Moan
over
and
there.
Rob can't commit. But
just did.
he's just, but not by choice, by default. Anyways.
By default.
Yes. All right. Let's see. Terry, how about yourself?
I have to choose. I mean, I have to choose Vangelis. I do love the There Will Be Blood soundtrack, though. So that's a tough one, but I have to choose Vangelis. Although I'm afraid that he, maybe this is really judgmental, but I feel like he wouldn't be that friendly. I'm not sure.
Well, especially
He might be a laugh riot. Who
well,
knows?
Especially since he
I hope
died in
so.
2022.
Well,
he's not going to be a
Probably
lot
not
of
going to
fun.
be that funny.
it's all you know. It's all made up. Yeah, well, he probably doesn't have a straight cup. He's probably got one of those ridiculous size like frappes with the whipping on the top or something. Anyways, okay, yeah, Angela, how about yourself?
Yeah. So I think I'm absolutely Vangelis. I think the product would be incredibly hard to use. I don't know if you've seen this clip. He's got this he made someone create for him this like Rubik's Cube synth interface where it's a bunch of hieroglyphics moving around, like rotating triangles. Nuts. So I think I would be drawn to his table because he's just a lifelong hero with his use of the CS80 and the Lexicon 224. But I think it would be an incredibly hard product to use. Now, Johnny Greenwood, he is also an inspiration because he designs his own Pure Data and Max MSP like little patches and uses them on stage.
Yeah.
He is fearless. He uses computer software and he makes the little algorithms himself and uses them in a live performance, which is living extremely dangerously.
And twiddles
So
the
they're
knobs
both-
on
they're
the
both-
pedal board too at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So they're both great, but Vangelis for me.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna go with Johnny Greenwood.
Thank you, Todd.
I think you're welcome. I like the idea of somebody possibly approaching an effect. He's very rhythm and beat oriented, like those things. Like he doesn't isolate them. Like he thinks of them in the same way, and at the same time. At least that's my impression. So I think it'd be really interesting to see what given. A wide open canvas and my brainiac strategic mind to come up with this pedal, that I think it'd be pretty awesome. And weirdly, probably oddly, funkily analog-y too, because
With lots of knobs.
he's weird like that. Lots of knobs.
Lots of
It would
knobs
have
and micro
all kinds of
switches and-
stuff. Yeah. I don't think there would be anything too simple about that.
No.
Oh, well, that was a hopefully a decent one. But we'll see. Maybe we'll
Tickled the old gray matter.
I hope so. All right, we need to thank a few people.
Yes.
And then we need to say adios to Terry and Angelo.
Okay. Well, that's right, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Easy as pie. Go over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. Become a friend, a hero, a sponsor of the podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win wonderful prizes. Oh, yes, we've got giveaways coming up, folks. But beyond that, there's one thing more.
Get to have your name right on the thing.
That's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers. Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, James White, Mo Tander Guitars, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly from Rare Buzz Effects, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pampas, Trevor Ellenberg, Christopher Logan, and John Sebastian.
Excellent.
But wait, Todd, there's more because
Okay.
we have a special group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs.
Indeed.
These fine folks have a fez to wear upon their head, like a chapeau, if you
Yes.
will. And they're the cream of the cream.
The tippity top.
A number one. So special thanks to these grand poobahs: Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Guerrera, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Casey Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Jerusik from 12th Hour Devices, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S., David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Von Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, Matt Hart, Enrico Fernando, Moon Guitars, Adam Johnson, Eric Edwards, David Tyndall, and
Yes.
we have an upgrade this week.
Oh, I love it.
An executive producer that takes the plunge and becomes a grand poobah.
I like it.
Anthony Giamalero.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yes, we really do appreciate that. You guys keep the show rolling, and we couldn't do it without you. Speaking of people we can't do without is our guests. They mean a great deal to us. Terry and Angelo, we can't thank you enough for sharing your time and sharing your thoughts and your stories about your product and Meris.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. And where can people go to get these? And that may just be in everywhere. I don't know.
We have a bunch of dealers around the United States, but meris.us.
Perfect.
Where to find us.
Perfect. And check out their socials for all kinds of great clips and examples. And actually, Angelo is featured on the 2 product demos for each of these, and those are executed exquisitely. A pleasure to watch. So check those out on YouTube. Tony, where can people find you?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the wares I have available for sale. But by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do, and I might have some advice.
Yeah, like if you need reverse pickups.
Jakey Lee, baby.
Rob.
Mad Cow Amplification on Instagram, Facebook.
If you got a broken amp,
That's it.
take it to Rob. If you got a broken amp, take it to Rob. All right, that's your
Ooh,
jingle.
let's
Wow,
sample
that's a
that.
nice jingle. Wow.
You can shoot me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can DM me, which is even better, on Instagram at guitarknobs. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your likes. You can throw rocks at me if you want.
Rocksfortodd.com.
Yes. And make sure you check out the Valentinos as you're driving around. You need some good rocking out music, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you have enjoyed our interview with Meris and Terry and Angelo. We hope you have a fantastic guitar week, and subscribe. Now we should plug that into both of them. That would be amazing. Rob hates everything, but he's
That's Todd projecting.
He's a handsome guy, so we keep him. We keep him here. Hello.
Oh, hey.
Hi there.
Oh, are you guys running that through the Mercury X or? Yeah, that's what you got to brush your teeth is. What kind of doctor did you say you were? It's like you're in a big room.
Wonder what. We are in a big room, actually. But,
For a chest x-ray.
That's a sideways compliment, Rob.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Bip bop bow, bitty bip bong, bing bong bow. Rob Chafe.
Hello.
We should have a better result, because otherwise it's literally going to sound like you guys are in space the whole time.
okay.
Which is is your optimum idea.
Yeah,
What's wrong
the
with
vibe.
that? And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at guitarknobs. Catch you next time.